Welcome to the Deep Dives, where we cut through the noise to get you well-informed fast. Today, we're diving into something that's, well, it's not just a headline anymore, is it? It's right here on our doorstep. Environmental challenges. You think about the climate shifts we're seeing, the extreme weather, or the plastic pollution, the air quality in cities. These really aren't abstract problems anymore. They're immediate responsibilities for modern companies, directly impacting our lives. So the big question really is, how are businesses actually grappling with these huge, complex challenges?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to explore in this deep dive. We're aiming to unpack the core ethical values that shape how we relate to the environment, sometimes misguidedly, perhaps. Then we'll look at the challenging nature of these problems themselves. They're often paradoxical. And finally, uncover how businesses are trying to transform, innovate, create a more sustainable path forward.
Okay, great. Let's unpack this then. Starting with the fundamentals, how we actually view our relationship with nature. Because these views really dictate our actions, don't they? We've all come across anthropocentrism. It's that duckly ingrained idea, placing humans right at the center of everything, morally speaking.
Right. Nature as primarily a resource.
Exactly. And historically, this wasn't just philosophy. It was the engine driving science, industrialization,
Yeah.
leading to huge landscape changes, deforestation for farming, the industrial boom.
Yeah, shaping the world we see today.
But now we're seeing the consequences, right? When that mindset prioritizes economic growth over environmental protection,
Yeah.
well, you get unchecked habitat loss, accelerating climate change. It's pretty stark.
It is. And what's fascinating is how that contrasts so sharply with ecocentrism. This perspective is gaining more traction now. It recognizes the intrinsic value, the inherent worth of all living things, all ecosystems.
So respecting nature for its own sake, even giving it rights.
Precisely. A really powerful example is New Zealand's Wanganui River. It was granted legal personhood. That was the result of a 170-year legal fight by indigenous people.
170 years. Wow.
Yeah, to prove it was essentially a he, an ancestor, not just an it, not just a resource. Or think about Costa Rica paying landowners to protect sloth habitats.
Okay.
It explicitly recognizes that a living sloth has more value than just the timber you could cut down.
Right. That's a different calculation entirely.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the Earth being a closed system, that's not just science. It's a fundamental clash. It really undermines the whole idea of endless economic growth on a finite planet.
So it forces us to ask, if resources are limited, what does progress actually look like?
Exactly. It shifts everything.
So what does this mean for tackling environmental challenges themselves? It implies there aren't just technical issues we can engineer our way out of.
No, not entirely. Experts offer solutions, of course, vital ones, but nature is unpredictable. Changes can be permanent. Science alone can't just fix everything.
So the insight is, environmental problems are really social problems.
At their core, yes, because they're human-caused. They stem from our choices, our values, our economic systems. Think about the big ones. The greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, deforestation, desertification.
All driven by human activity.
Directly.
So what's the underlying driver then? If it's us, what about us?
Well, a deeper reason is just the sheer speed of population and economic growth. It's consuming resources unsustainably, producing huge amounts of pollution. And the warnings are pretty clear. If these trends keep going, we could face uncontrolled declines in food production, in energy.
So it's not just about saving the planet in an abstract way.
No, it's about our collective ability to thrive, even survive.
Right. That definitely puts it in perspective. Okay, this is where it gets, well, really interesting and maybe uncomfortable. Let's dive into some specific hard-hitting ethical dilemmas, the kind that pop up when we pursue development.
Absolutely. These are the tough trade-offs. Let's start with oil extraction impact. Think about Saudi pipelines. Pumping, 15,900 liters every minute.
That's a staggering amount.
It is, but the hidden cost, or maybe not so hidden, is profound. Polar bear blood, for instance, found with toxic chemical levels 300 times above what's considered safe.
300 times. From extraction happening potentially thousands of miles away.
Exactly. It shows the global reach of these impacts. Eco-economist Herman Daly nailed it. We are using up natural capital as if it were income.
That's a powerful way to put it. Burning through our inheritance.
Depleting the planet's core assets.
And then there's the really unsettling side of green energy's hidden costs. We think green, we think good, but
But it's complex. The example of child laborers in Congo.
yeah, Digging cobalt for electric car batteries, it's heartbreaking.
It really illustrates the tragedy of the commons brutally. The rush for a solution in one place can cause immense suffering somewhere else.
Makes you really question if we're solving the problem or just shifting the burden, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the choices aren't simple. Think about Germany closing nuclear plants for good environmental reasons from their perspective.
Right, safety concerns waste.
But then the increased reliance on imported Russian natural gas, which indirectly helped fund the war in Ukraine.
Wow, so no easy right answer. Just different costs, often devastating ones.
Precisely. It highlights the uncomfortable compromises. There often isn't a purely good choice, just different sets of consequences.
That's a really crucial point about unintended consequences. What about less obvious dilemmas? You mentioned rhino horns.
Yes, the rhino horn auctions in South Africa. It's a really complex one. The government decided to sell confiscated rhino horns legally, hoping the funds could support conservation efforts.
Okay, that sounds logical on the surface. Use the confiscated goods to fund protection.
And surprisingly, it did cause black market prices to drop significantly, like 65%.
Really? So it seemed to work.
Initially, maybe, but animal rights groups pointed out a major flaw. They argued this legal channel actually made it easier for poachers to launder illegal horns, mix them in with the legal supply.
Oh, so it created a loophole.
Exactly. It raises a really uncomfortable question. Are we using market logic in ways that actually undermine our ecological conscience, even when we're trying to do good?
That is a paradox. Trying to fund conservation, but potentially enabling more illegal trade. It really makes you think. And sticking with resources, what about water? The chip industry example.
Right, the water use and chip industry dilemma.
Yeah.
TSMC's factory in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Huge player in semiconductors. It uses something like 200,000 tons of water every single day.
200,000 tons? That's hard to even picture.
It's equivalent to the daily water use of about 80,000 households.
And this is happening where?
In a region where farmers are simultaneously facing severe drought conditions.
Oof, that's a direct clash.
It's been called a water resources rebellion. And there's no easy villain, is there? We all need those chips for our phones, computers, everything. But the farmers need water to survive, to grow food. It's economic security versus environmental justice.
Is it always a zero-sum game like that? Or can we find ways around it?
That's the critical question we need to be asking.
Okay, so faced with all these challenges, these ethical minefields,
Yeah.
what's actually pushing corporations to change course? Because it seems environmental protection is shifting from just being a cost.
To being key for competitiveness, for sustainable operation.
Absolutely.
And this brings in the principle of early action. Meaning acting sooner to prevent irreversible damage is actually more cost-effective. It's smarter strategy in the long run, rather than waiting for disaster and then paying way more to clean it up if you even can.
Right. Prevention is better than cure, essentially.
Exactly. And often that early action is kicked off by significant external pressures. Firstly, you've got growing shareholder pressure.
Investors waking up to the risks.
Definitely. They see environmental performance directly impacting long-term value and risk. Back in 2016, U.S. shareholders filed 175 climate change proposals. That was a big jump.
So shareholders demanding action.
Yeah, like at Shell and BP, where almost all shareholders demanded pollution reduction plans. Even at ExxonMobil in 2017, shareholders voted to assess climate impact, despite the management opposing it.
That shows persistence from within can work, even against resistance.
It does. It shows that ownership can be a powerful lever, even if governments are slow to act.
That shareholder shift seems really significant. Markets driving change. But it's not just investors pushing, is it? What else is out there?
No, not just investors. You also see the power of industry alliances. Companies realize they can't solve these huge problems alone. Collaboration is essential.
Like pooling resources or buying power.
Exactly. Look at the Renewable Energy Buyers Alliance, RBBA. It brings together over 60 big companies. Google, Amazon, Apple are in there. Their goal is to help companies develop 60 gigawatts of clean energy by 2025. That's massive collective action.
60 gigawatts. That's serious scale. Okay, so shareholders, industry alliances, what else?
And then, of course, there's the increasing weight of international regulations. Global companies operate across borders. They simply have to comply with a growing web of environmental rules, things like the Montreal Protocol on ozone, the Kyoto Protocol, various EU directives. These often dictate market access now.
So compliance isn't optional if you want to play on the global stage.
Pretty much. It's becoming a baseline requirement.
Okay, but what really grabs me is when companies go beyond just reacting to pressure. when they proactively lead the charge, that's where it gets exciting.
Hmm.
But, the skeptic might ask, how much of this is genuine transformation versus just greenwashing or good PR? Can you give us some examples of real, substantial corporate green initiative? Tell us about Apple.
That's a fair question. And yeah, the examples show deeper change. Take Apple's green transformation. Everyone saw the store logo change to a green leaf.
Right, symbolizing 100% renewable energy for their own operations.
Yes, but the bigger goal, the real transformation, is extending that to their entire supply chain. We're talking thousands of manufacturers globally.
Pushing their suppliers to go green, too.
Exactly. That's not just marketing, that's changing the whole business model, embedding sustainability deep into their operations and partnerships.
Okay, that does sound substantial. What about companies maybe less in the public eye, like in manufacturing?
Good point. Look at Acer, the computer company. They talk about total greening for their products. This means considering everything right from the design stage. Energy efficiency, where materials come from, the production process, assembly, packaging, even recycling at the end of life.
So building it in from the start, not just tacking it on.
Precisely, a holistic view.
And then there's TSMC. We talked about their water use issue. How are they tackling the green side?
Well, TSMC emphasizes starting with green products. Their view is that new green tech isn't a quick fix. It needs persistence, an energy-focused mindset right from product development. And importantly, they acknowledge the shift will have huge impacts across their very complex supply chain.
So they're owning the ripple effects of their green choices.
Yes, taking responsibility for those wider impacts. That signals a deeper commitment.
Okay, so we've seen the problems, the pressures, some initiatives.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for moving forward? It feels like we need more than just incremental changes. We need new thinking.
Absolutely. It's about a paradigm shift. One key part is changing the timeline, adopting a truly long-term mindset, way beyond the next quarter's results.
Thinking in decades or longer.
Yes. Look at Singapore's N-water technology, purifying wastewater for those chip factories we mentioned. It costs 3 times as much as using fresh water.
Triple the cost. Why do it then?
To avoid the water conflicts like in Kaohsiung, it's an investment in long-term water security and social stability. It avoids much bigger costs down the road.
So paying more now to prevent a crisis later.
Exactly. Or look at the Netherlands. They have centuries of experience managing water. In some areas, they're actually removing dikes, giving rivers more room, planning for century-long land protection against sea level rise. That's real long-term thinking.
Wow. Planning for 100 years out. That's a different perspective. And it's not just about longer timelines, right? It's also about who gets considered.
Right, including more stakeholders, and specifically considering non-human interests, giving nature a seat at the table, so to speak.
How does that work in practice?
There's a fascinating example from New York's Central Park expansion. The courts used something called biological impact assessments. They allowed ecologists to literally represent the interests of 500 bird species that used the area.
Represent birds in court?
Effectively, yes. Their habitats, their needs were valued on par with the development plans. That's quite revolutionary for environmental justice.
Giving a voice to the voiceless, quite literally. Okay, long-term thinking, more stakeholders. Yeah. What else?
And finally, using technology for healing. Applying tech not just to extract or control, but to express human conscience, to actively repair damage.
Technology is a tool for stewardship.
Exactly. Google DeepMind, for example, is training AI to predict how urban sprawl impacts migratory birds. It's improved prediction accuracy by 40% over older methods. That helps us protect them better.
Using AI for conservation.
Or in Bangladesh, they're using blockchain. It enables immediate carbon credit payments directly to people protecting mangrove forests.
So direct incentives, faster payments, more transparency.
Yes. Empowering local communities, making conservation financially viable right now. These aren't magic fixes, but they show how tech can help us care for the planet.
These examples really do offer powerful glimpses of what's possible. Which brings us to a really important question for you, our listener. What can you actually do? Especially for the younger generation listening, there are concrete steps beyond just, putting things in the recycling bin.
Definitely. Think about a consumer revolution. Apply the 5R principle, that's refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. Use it to push back against things like fast fashion. Choose items built to last. Value conscious consumption over just buying more stuff.
Making conscious choices with our wallets. What about digitally?
There's digital action. You can download apps like Global Forest Watch. Before you buy something online, you can scan the barcode or look up the brand and see its supply chain's impact on deforestation. It puts information power right in your hands.
Checking the impact before you click buy. That's powerful. And finally, thinking about the future.
Your career choices. As this green transformation happens, whole new job sectors are opening up. Look at resources like the Green Jobs Guide. See how your skills might align with roles like solar engineer or carbon auditor or sustainability consultant.
So being part of the solution through your work.
Exactly. The opportunities are growing fast for people who want to build a sustainable future.
It reminds me of what Albert Einstein said. We cannot solve problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. This whole environmental crisis really demands we reshape how we think, doesn't it? Moving away from limitless exploitation.
Absolutely, towards conscious coexistence. And that connects to Gandhi's insight. The earth provides enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed. Which maybe offers a final thought for you, the listener. Maybe true sustainability isn't just about compromise or sacrifice. Maybe it's actually a science of creation, finding that golden intersection, as some call it.
Where what we want, our human desires, actually align with what the Earth can sustainably provide.
Exactly, where innovation serves both human progress and planetary health. That's the creative challenge.
So this green transformation we've been talking about, it's not just about regulations or PR anymore. It's becoming a fundamental survival strategy for businesses and really for all of us on this finite planet.
Environmental ethics aren't just academic debates now.
No, they're a core generational challenge we have to face, guiding companies, guiding ourselves towards living alongside Earth and all life. So as you go about learning, working, enjoying life, we really encourage you to think, what unique value can you create for the environment? Because it's probably in finding that answer, in that act of creation, that we'll find our deepest purpose.